Okay. All right, so we'll get started, and then if students pop in, it kind of, cycles in and out. So my name's Gail Lynch, as you guys know, and I'm the program director of the Global Columbia Collaboratory, which is a 100% virtual program. We offer it every semester, with the exception of this semester. We've taken a pause. And it's virtual global engagement programming, but in the summers, we offer it hybrid. So that's what we're talking about this info session. And it's our theme, basically the theme of the program is education for sustainable development. And we, for this specific summer, we're kind of forming the programs around environmental humanities and the SDGs. Like I said, it's a hybrid program. So we're gonna have 15 weeks of programming, and then most of it is online. And then in the midst of that, you'll travel to either Brazil, Cuba, or the Gambia for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So the program starts on May 28th. It's a Tuesday. There are each week we have 3 synchronous meetings. The first is what we call toolbox sessions and global seminars. So those are the whole group of students. The students going to Brazil, Cuba, the Gambia, join all together in this session in the Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And that's where we talk. The toolbox sessions are sessions to help you prepare for doing the collaborative project. They're cross-cultural communication tools, all the tools you need to work together successfully. And then we also offer global seminars. There will be 4 seminars during that same period, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. And those have to do more with like environmental humanities, the SDGs. We're going to talk about fair trade learning. We're going to talk about colonialism and indigeneity, ecotourism, and there's another one that I can't remember. So those are general in nature. Everybody can get something out of those. Then the next synchronous meeting, we break you into what's called pods. And the pods are based on which country you're going to travel to. So for Brazil, right now we're scheduling it for Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. And then Cuba and the Gambia students will determine, like through a survey or something, when the best time to meet. Those are also synchronous meetings. So whatever time is set up for those. And that's where you get your content from your partner NGO with whatever country you're in, and also the content about the country where you're going. So it's really focused on Brazil, Cuba, or the Gambia. And so those are just with the smaller groups. Then the third synchronous meeting is when you work on your project. Though we'll break you into smaller student groups, and you'll collaborate with a student on a project that's related to the organization in the country. So in Brazil, for example, we work with the Foundation for Amazon Sustainability. And so you'll be doing a project for them. And then you just arrange with your partner when you want to meet to work on that. A lot of the work may be asynchronous, and then you just meet up to say, okay, what have you done? This is what I've done, that sort of thing. So really it's those 3 hours a week in meetings, and then the additional time each week to work on the project. That project you're going to be working on, and then when you travel to the country, you'll continue to work on it in addition to everything else that we're going to be doing in each country. And I will take a pause because Dr. Shannon Marquez has arrived. Hi, Shannon. You're a little bit early.
No, I found a space over here in Hamilton. And so I'm just sitting in a conference room.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. So good morning. Great to see you all.
So I just kind of gave a brief overview of the structure of the program, that it's hybrid in nature with the travel portion, how the meetings work. While I'm taking a pause, Lilia or Claudia, do you have any questions about the basic structure?
And tell us about yourselves. Are you undergrads, grad students?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess I'll go first. Hi, nice meeting you, Shannon. So my name is Lilia, and I'm actually a grad student. I'm currently doing the Climate and Society program. I've known a little bit about the program, the travel to Brazil, just because one of my friends did it last summer, and I actually joined him at the end of it. So I went to Brazil, and it told me about it and was just like in love with all of it. So I was really interested in potentially doing that. Now it seems like it's mostly for undergrad. But I would also love to learn a little bit more about the one from Cuba specifically. And yeah, that's about me.
And Lily and I met in Rio de Janeiro
Oh,
at the end of
wow.
the program. Yeah, so she
That's
joined
so
this morning. I'm
exciting.
like, gosh, she looked familiar. I thought she was a collab student, but then
Yeah,
fortunately, thanks, Lilia, you reminded me that we met.
right.
Hi, good morning. My name is Claudia, and I'm a junior in the dual BA program between GS and the Jewish Theological Seminary. And I'm studying human rights and sustainable development at Columbia and then modern Jewish studies at JTS. And I'm most interested in Gambia, partly because I'll be doing like a law sustainability internship during the summer from like June 8th to August 2nd. So the timing actually works out very, very well. And I'm also excited because just that program really seems amazing. And it's also like a place in the world that I sadly don't know much about and want to learn more about.
Wow, well, that's very interesting to meet both of you, and I'm happy to share a bit more about those two new programs. And of course, Lilia, you've learned something about the Amazon program as well. So I don't know, Gail, should I do a little overview now?
Yeah,
of
yeah.
these two?
Let's transition to
Okay,
the
let me
country overviews and
share my screen, and there we go. Okay, well, again, I'm Dr. Shannon Marquez, and I actually am the faculty lead on both the Cuba and the Gambia program. They actually mirror each other. And so let's first talk about Cuba. The program in Cuba, I actually work with a couple of colleagues, one Dr. Veronica Flake, who's actually a new faculty member here at Columbia in the medical school, but I actually have worked with her for several years at previous institutions. She actually went to medical school in Cuba, and we've worked collaboratively in both Cuba and in West Africa. And then Dane Ward, who is an environmental scientist who works in biodiversity and earth and environmental science at Drexel. And he and I have also collaborated in Cuba for many years. And so they co-lead the program with me in Cuba. My background is in environmental science and environmental engineering. Most of my work focuses on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals with the impacts related to environment and WASH and global health. Our partner in Cuba is the University of Cienfuegos. I've been working with them for a number of years, previously taught courses there. And the focus is on community health and environmental issues, particularly using the SDGs as a lens. So during the program, the itinerary each day is in the field. There are lectures peppered throughout the curriculum, but it's not a didactic program by any means. We actually are up visiting sites, looking at projects and collaborating every day, all day, and also lots of cultural and historical sites as well. We do work in relation to looking at environmental challenges. This is us in the Bay of Cienfuegos, also could be the Bay of Pigs, actually. We look at how Cuba is working with communities and through popular education and environmental humanities, trying to raise awareness about sort of the challenges that have evolved and coming up with community engaged solutions. There's also work with organization on advocacy and environmental justice. We also work with and will visit artistic interpretations in relation to health and the environment. This is a snapshot from Aruba. There's a lot of Afro-Cuban culture intermixed in this because of its relation to the earth and environment, as well as health with traditional medicine. This is a snapshot of a sample schedule. As you can see, the program is very comprehensive, touching on topics in relation to understanding the Cuban healthcare system, but also looking at environmental sustainability, education, and community engagement activities as well. And each day we have different themes that include site visits and some guest lectures from either organizations or faculty from the University of Cienfuegos. There are also demonstrations, artistic demonstrations where you'll be part of contributing to art that may tell the story of an environmental or health issue, but also dance as well as musical collaborations. So students in the past have taken an interpretive dance workshop, for example. We do work with the Graphic Arts Society as well. So the program in the Gambia, well, let me go back. The program in Cuba is actually 2 weeks and includes everyone flying from Miami to Cuba together. And that is done because we need to adhere to the license requirements and the visa requirements. So 2 weeks in Cuba. The program in the Gambia then is actually modeled the same way. In fact, I started the program in the Gambia first, and then because I met Cuban physicians in Gambia, landed in Cuba collaborating directly. And so it's intentional that they are mirroring each other. And I appreciated your comments at the beginning because many people don't know much about this region. And the Gambia is a very small country, completely encircled by Senegal to the north and south and east, with the exception of about a 40-mile coastline along the Atlantic. The Senegambia region is really distinctively culturally the same. It really is only separated into 2 different countries due to colonization. The British colonized the Gambia and the French colonized Senegal. So the people and the culture of that region are the same. English is the official language in the Gambia, but the predominant local language is Wolof and Mandinka. And it's a beautiful place. Actually, it has a rich history. The people are very welcoming and very beautiful environment as well. These are all pictures taken off my iPhone, actually. So our project partners in the Gambia are the Gunjir Project, as well as CTAG, which is a conservationist and ecotourism association. We will be situated in the Western Division along the southern coast. They have a wonderful partnership with the communities of that region, and they also run the lodge that we will be staying in. The lodge is modest, but has wonderful amenities, including electricity and water and filtered water, and the dietary restrictions can be accommodated for at the restaurant there. There are spaces there for cultural demonstrations and workshops. It's a really lovely place to stay. And so we'll be based there. All of our meals will be taken there as well, or even our box lunches will come from there. And so the food is just phenomenal as well. They really do a great job. Of course, traveling to the Gambia, there's some other travel health considerations. So just to say that as part of the pre-departure orientation and planning period for this program, we would work together and you'd have all the information you need to make sure that you are taking care of your health needs and preparing appropriately for this 3-week experience. And so similar to the Cuba program, the program in the Gambia really is centered in community, looks at both health and environmental issues, using environmental humanities also as a lens, and incorporates the SDGs. The sample schedule is very similar. Every day we have windshield survey visits or site visits where we learn about different health, environment, community, or education programs or projects or issues of significance. There's quite a bit of time built into the schedule for identifying and working on projects. The projects will actually be introduced in the hybrid portion of the program, so in that online portion, and then you'll have time to work with your preceptor in the field. So if you're interested in trying to do this activity for a capstone or practicum requirement or honors thesis, there's definitely ample time to do that. And we're happy to help support you in signing off on the paperwork. And so, as I mentioned, the itinerary activities really are very comprehensive. Lots of work in the community, looking at both environmental and community health and educational initiatives. They have environmental projects related to sand mining and restoration. They have a thriving sea turtle hatchery and conservation initiative. There are programs that are looking at climate change and deforestation. We visit with the fishing centers and look at some of the environmental and health impacts associated with that. A lot of nature reserve and nature walks related to biodiversity and ecological species. There are art exhibitions, and again, how environmental humanities and the humanities in general are used to convey environmental and health messages. So that includes drumming workshops, African dance, tie-dye and batik demonstration. There are opportunities to participate in, say, tree planting campaigns, traditional medicine initiatives that allow you to walk about and identify what those local herbs and trees are, and a lot of work in community and health education. These are just snapshots from some of the art demonstrations in relation to environmental humanities, and lots of different potential projects, as I mentioned. In both programs, I really focus on making sure that there are, I don't know why this slide never works. So I'll just turn it off. But reflective writing, you can see there, is a part of kind of how we do our debriefs every day, but also it can be used as a medium for a project as well. And so Gail could tell you more about that. In the past through the Collaboratory, there have been lots of projects using different modalities. And in the field every day, we do have debriefing sessions where we just kind of really share and talk about the day. And some students use it as an opportunity to share journal entries, etc. And so that happens both in the Gambia and in Cuba. Okay, we have a new person who joined. Welcome, Alif Mesra.
Hello.
Hello. And if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Great, thanks, Shannon. Any questions specifically about Cuba or the Gambia?
Do you mind sharing the flight situation for the Gambia?
So for the Gambia, actually, the program begins in the Gambia. While we're happy to research some different travel options and routes for you, you actually get there on your own. So there's a little bit more flexibility on how you travel. And again, there are, you know, flights that can go in direct through the Gambia, through Europe, and also North Africa, Morocco. But there are lots of different flight options. I haven't really seen a direct flight from the Gambia to the US lately, but there may be one now. I often take a route direct from JFK to Dakar, Senegal, and then connect on a very short 40-minute flight from Senegal to Gambia.
Where do you fly into, Shannon? Do you fly into the capital city?
Yeah, well, the airport, the only airport in the Gambia is Banjul, the Gambia, but the airport is actually not in Banjul, but it's called Banjul, BJL. Yes, that's where you fly into, and that's about a 40-minute drive from where we'll be staying. Once you arrive, we take care of the local transportation on your arrival.
So like someone would meet us at the airport?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Great, other questions? Let me share, oh, go ahead, Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
How large are the cohorts typically for students?
So in Gambia, I've had upwards of 28, 20, 30, you know, we really can accommodate that size. I think smaller programs are more intimate as well. I actually kind of enjoy that. And so right now we just have students applying, and I think we have upwards of 10 applicants right now. We have another week and a half to go on the application period. And so I'm hoping for around 15 or less.
Yeah, and then for Cuba, or sorry, not Cuba, Brazil, we're looking for 5 Columbia students, and then we're hoping we'll get 5 Brazilian students. So it'll be a cohort of 10. Yeah. Let me just share my screen real quick, and I'll show the slideshow that I have about Brazil. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, so the Brazil program right now, we haven't confirmed exactly the itinerary. It's either gonna, we're waiting on, we partner with Columbia Global Center in Rio de Janeiro, and they are securing funding so that we can spend 2 weeks in Rio de Janeiro and also invite 5 Brazilian students. So we're operating under the assumption it'll be 3 weeks. So we'll just go with that. So we'll spend 2 weeks in Rio doing different programming, and then we'll go up to, we'll go up to, can everyone see okay? The slides?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. So from Rio, then we take a flight up to Manaus. It's about a 4-hour flight, and Manaus is in the state of Amazonas, where that's like 2 million, a city of 2 million. And then we'll hop on a boat, and then we'll go up the Rio Negro, and we'll stay in 2 different communities that the partner organization works in these communities to help the river, it's called riverine communities, the people that are living on, on the river, to stay there and, create a livelihood so that they can stay in the Amazon instead of moving to the big city. This is last year's group of students, or some of them. We had 7 students, and we stay in a hotel near Ipanema Beach, and it's really nice. And then these are just pictures of Rio. And then we'll have programming in the Global Center. These are 2 pictures just showing you the Global Center. It's in downtown Rio. They have a classroom. So we'll have different lectures. We'll also have field excursions. We'll be going to the Atlantic Forest. We'll be checking out one of the islands off the coast right there of Rio, looking at different, the just environmental aspects of even in a big city, there's the impact. And then we'll fly up to Manaus, and this is when we meet with the Foundation for Amazon Sustainability. It's an amazing organization that is doing really just innovative, well thought out work in these river communities. And so the FOSS is who we'll partner with in terms of determining the projects for the students. So this is when we spent the day in the headquarters of FOSS before we got on the boat. So here's a picture of the boat, the students in the boat, and just we'll travel. It's kind of, you can see a little bit of a picture of what one of the boats looks like. And then we go to the river communities. Like what Shannon was saying, it's very modest lodging and accommodations, but they're very nice, clean, safe, electricity, running water, filtered water. We have people in the community make our meals. They're family style meals, and all, they're very accommodating in terms of different dietary needs. The second community we stay in has limited electricity, so they turn on the generator at night. So we have about 2 hours of electricity. Everybody charges their phones. There's of course no Wi-Fi, so it's limited Wi-Fi, but it was actually refreshing and very nice. These are pictures. This is a tree planting that the students were involved in. This is a picture of, we stayed at an indigenous community, and they were sharing, these young youth were sharing aspects of their culture with us. We went to a community that produces farro, which is one of the indigenous, it's made from cassava. And so they have a little bioeconomy project going on. We visit a school in one of the communities. This is just Manaus, the Opera Center, and a picture of a little capybara. I was very excited to take that picture when I discovered it. And so that's the slideshow for Brazil. It'll be about 3 weeks long, as I said, 2 weeks in Rio, and then the 1 week in the Amazon. Flights will be, what we're wanting students to do is fly into Rio, and then they'll get themselves to Rio, and we'll arrange for transport to the hotel. And then it's included to get to Manaus, and then students will depart from Manaus. So you would need a one-way ticket to Rio and then a one-way ticket out of Manaus to wherever you're going. So that's the plan there. Any
Any more
questions?
questions? So Alif, maybe you can tell us about your interests in whether you're undergrad or grad.
Hi everyone, sorry my camera's not on, but I'm Olive. I'm a sophomore in CC, and I'm pretty much interested in the Gambia project.
Oh, great. And I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, but thank you for introducing yourself, and happy to answer any questions, because I think you might have joined late. I'm not sure if you saw everything for the Gambia.
Yeah, I got to see the
Okay.
entirety of the Gambia presentation.
Wonderful.
Or if you have questions about just the nature of the summer collaboratory program. It's hybrid, so we meet virtually, we meet online, 3 different meetings each week, synchronous meetings. And then that's when you get all the good environmental humanities, SDGs, global learning content, and then you'll break into small groups based on the country where you'll be traveling, and that's where you get content related to the country, what you're going to be doing, you know, preparation for going on site.
And I want to clarify, so one of the meetings is synchronous at a fixed time,
Yeah.
and the other 2 are kind of based on the cohort when you all are available to meet. And so there's a little bit more flexibility as to when those will be scheduled based on who ends up in the program.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that, because we do, I anticipate that students have other, like Claudia, you were saying you have an internship. We expect that students will have internships or other things going on. And so this is designed so that you could do both. Really, it's a not for credit program, although we do encourage students to check with your academic department to see if you could either get practicum credit or maybe an internship credit, or even possibly credit, like academic-based credit if you did an independent study or something like that. So definitely check with your academic department. Also, in terms of the costs, Brazil's looking to be around $3,000. Cuba is $2,800, and the Gambia is $2,900, I believe. Sorry, I should double check. But those costs are they're actually subsidized by the Global Columbia Collaboratory, so that it's more in the range of what students can afford. So kind of it's like the scholarships are built into those prices from UGE, or the Center for Undergraduate Global Engagement, is subsidizing the overall cost to go for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to these countries. We do encourage students to ask academic departments for if there's any summer funding. There's also, if you go to the UGE website, you can see under, let's see, it's getting started on study abroad. There will be a drop down and you'll see financial concerns. There are some links to different scholarships there in that, in those drop downs. And then yesterday's info session, one of the students was saying that there's, you know, if you check with the Human Rights Department, like if you check with different departments, a lot of times they'll have funding that's available to all students. And the School for Climate, the Climate School might have some funding too. So we encourage students to.
And just to clarify too, that so those costs, you know, include lodging and food. So we've packaged this in a way where really you only have to think about your flight, your travel. And for Cuba, it includes the flight from Miami to Cuba.
I just wanted to take a minute, and because I might have to run to class soon, so I just wanted to ask you if you had any student in the past from the climate school, and like in terms of the internship / practicum credits, because I would be looking into this to cover my summer end of, you know, program internship / project. So I was wondering, did you ever have a student do that? Do you know of any accommodation with the climate school?
For me, with the Brazil group, they were all undergraduates, so they didn't, or they were just finishing, they just finished. But definitely check into it because we are familiar with the climate school. It has at least undergraduate, maybe Shannon, you know about graduate, but double check because if you look at what we're offering, it's a perfect fit. And we could get in touch with me, Lillian, if you need additional information or like a draft syllabus or itinerary, anything like that, I can provide that for you when you check.
And
Sounds good.
so we had conversations as well, mostly around the undergrad requirements in the climate school. I have a faculty appointment in the climate school, so I'm actually happy to also chat with you or whomever if you need some support. But as Gail said, it definitely is aligned with those requirements. And there's some flexibility for you to peruse or pursue an independent research project if you need to beef that up a bit as well. We certainly can accommodate that.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll probably be in touch with the both of you by email to ask more specific question, but I appreciate you answering that.
Sure.
Yeah. Good to see you, Lilia. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll be heading to class, but I appreciate your time. Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting, and I'm just looking forward to learning more and the application. So thank
And
you.
if you know of any other students, please share this information because this is our last info session, but we're happy to talk with other students as well.
Great. I will. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks.
I think Shannon, you mentioned the research briefly. Would you be able to share a few more in-depth examples of what students have done?
Oh, sure. So there are lots of opportunities around environmental issues, everything from conservation to biodiversity. They have a great thriving sea turtle census project where you actually go out at night and count sea turtles and eggs and look at hatching rates. There are mangrove protection strategies, also looking at different critical species. There are climate change mitigation planning projects. So on the environmental side, there's a lot of different things. On the health side, a lot of projects and programs related to community health, education campaigns, maternal and child health. And all of this is in the context of addressing the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular related to environment and health and community. There are also some projects related to migration and peace in the context of community engagement and health. We work very closely with all of the units under the Ministry of Health. So even the extended programs on immunization, many of the preparedness planning, there's refugee health issues as well. And there's the opportunity to visit different levels of the health system. And so really a project can be defined in any particular area of interest. Of course, there's also a lot of education projects too. I don't really mention that, but there are tons of education projects at the primary and middle school and high school level as well. Does that answer help
Yeah,
you?
is the goal that we are creating something actionable by the end of August? And what are we creating a final report like you would in a seminar
Yeah.
course?
So what we do is we actually, to make sure it's not a burden, we actually enlist the partnering organizations. They present project ideas that they would like to see developed in collaboration with you. And that works the same way in the Brazil program as well. So you're guided through that early on in the hybrid portion of the program. And then you begin to develop it before you arrive. And then once you arrive, you kind of then are in the field finishing that. And then that final deliverable is whatever the organization is really specifying, but it tends to be a report or a presentation or a workshop training materials and things of that nature. Help with a website, social media type things. It could be a variety of things. If you are in a situation where you're trying to do something for credit, like whether it's a capstone or practicum or thesis, we are also happy to help you develop a program or project that is aligned with the interests that you may have, but as well as something that's mutually beneficial to the local organizations as well. So it can work both ways, but if you don't come to the table with a project to meet a degree requirement, you'll be assigned, but it'll be based on some options that are presented by our partnering organizations.
In the Brazil, we had students, last summer, they created story maps for the organization. And it's a great like storytelling technique, very visual. And so the organization was really excited to use those to promote some of their programs and explain some of their programs.
Yeah, I took a GIS course last semester and
Oh,
we
did
did
you?
story maps at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. It's nice because the even in our regular collaboratory, which is every semester, it's fully virtual, it's 100% virtual, but we always partner the students with locally led organizations. And the organizations are always really excited to have a group of students. And for the collaboratory, it's students from around the world. It's not just Columbia students. So the organizations are really excited to have young people, ideas from the global north or from wherever. We have a lot of international students too, but it really kind of energizes them, and they're also happy to share their work, kind of spread the news about their work. So it's ends up being a really I feel like rewarding and mutually rewarding dynamic, which is what we're aiming for.
That's awesome. So on the trip, it's not just Columbia students?
So these programs are open, the program in Cuba and Gambia are open to all students at accredited universities. The bulk of the students will be Columbia students, but they are open to students, and then local students will also be participating at various points.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Great.
Great. I think you answered all my questions.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we look forward to having you
Yeah.
join with the programs.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
bye-bye.
I'm so glad I heard about it.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Claudia, did you hear about it through an email or through word of
Yeah,
mouth?
Through an
Oh,
email, which I'm sure makes you all very happy. Like
Yeah.
the advertising worked.
Yeah. That's usually how a lot of our students find it. And we were talking yesterday, I was saying with this other group of students, how they find out about opportunities. One of the students was asking, like, how do you find out about all these? And I suggested signing up for newsletters and was interested to find out that that's what the other students had said. They sign up for all the newsletters from different departments, and they glance through the newsletters because a lot of times that's where all these opportunities are. So yeah, that's great. Is that how you found out about your internship? Your law internship?
No, my law internship was more through kind of a random personal connection.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because I'm working in the Office of like Pro Bono and Sustainability at Kirkland and Ellis. So that's like exactly 3 of the things that I'm like most interested in, and I get to dip my toes into all of them.
Oh, great.
That's so great. You'll bring a really interesting perspective to the
I
group.
hope so.
Yeah. Super. All right. Well, yeah, let us know if you have questions. The application I see you've started one, so it's pretty straightforward. The applications are due on March 13th, and then as students kind of finish their application up, we'll reach out and schedule a short interview. So if it's the Gambia, you'll meet with Shannon and have a brief interview, and then we'll let students know by the 25th about being accepted. And then we're asking students we'll give you about a week to confirm. So if you needed more time because you're waiting on funding or something like that, be sure to communicate with us. But the idea is by April 1st, all the students will know that you're accepted, you're going, so that you can finish planning for your summer. That's really our goal. And also it helps on flights. Like the sooner you know, the more options you have for flights and costs and things like that. So
For sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
I guess finally, like, is there an email, like someone in the Sustainable Development Department who I could reach out who could be helpful? Because I have human rights to email, but I don't have a connection with SUSDev.
Oh, you have that, don't you, Gail?
Yes, I'll follow up, with your email,
Awesome.
via email. I just need to look her up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Sounds
Great.
good.
Sounds great. I'll
And
be
are
in
you
touch.
looking you want SUSDEP for funding or to see like credit or
Um,
practical?
I think it would be for funding because my major is technically human rights. So I
Okay,
think they deal with the credit side.
okay. Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll
Thank you so
follow up.
much.
All right, thanks, Claudia. Good to meet you in
care.
person,
Good to
or
meet you as well.
at least in video.
Yes. Good to meet you too. Thank you.
Okay,
Take care. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.